Welcome to Pac-10 Sports Talk, Week 13 of the NCAA football season. We're moving into our Pac-10 predictions. Now, last week you guys were 1 for 3. You moved down to 83% against Vegas right now. Let's see if we can do one better. Okay, so the first game we're going to talk about, UCLA is going to play Arizona State. Joel, how's this game going to end up?
Well, if anyone's even watching anymore because of last week.
That was just the Pac-10 that we're bad at now, okay?
Some upsets, but no, in this game, both teams are in the same boat. They're 4-6. They have to win their next 2 games to be bowl eligible. We've already talked about that. But I think if you're Arizona State, you're licking your chops. Take, for instance, UCLA's offense. Let me give you some stats here. They're 117th in passing offense, 111th in total offense, and 104th in scoring offense. If you're that's 2 words for you. That's not good. And if you're Arizona State's defense, you're just licking your chops. Advantage Arizona State's defense. And when Arizona State has the ball, they have the 18th best passing offense, and they got big, like Gerald Robinson. They got some big, strong wide receivers that can stretch the field, and they're going to go against a suspect UCLA's secondary. I just think there's too much offense and defense. The better athletes are going to be wearing the maroon color. I go with Arizona State in this, 31-14.
No, and I would agree. You know, UCLA just does not have a passing game right now. You know, I think, last game they went through 3 quarterbacks. I think they're actually even suiting up the water boy and using him as a dual threat in this game.
That's rumors right now.
He's a good player.
Can he pass?
Yeah. Well, I hope so. If I'm Arizona State, I'm putting 8 or 9 guys in the box, and I'm saying to UCLA, you throw on me to beat me. But I just think there's just too much defense in this game. We know ASU can throw the ball. ASU just needs to throw it to ASU players. With UCLA not having offense, going on the road in the desert, if I'm right, Arizona State wins this game pretty handily, 31-10. You can count on it.
Well, not much left to be said. Since Richard Brehow has taken over quarterback, Arizona State UCLA's gone 2-4, and I think he averages like 117 yards a game. So, meanwhile, Arizona State lately has been playing really good ball. They barely lost to heartbreaker at USC, and they lost to Stanford barely, and I don't see this being a really that close of a game. I'm going to give the nod to Arizona State 28-19, 9-point win.
Okay, so the next game we want to talk about is Washington going to play Cal. Jeremy, how's this game going to end up?
This game's going to be a great game. We got 2 teams battling to get to a bowl. Locker still battling a cracked rib. They really had last week. Washington played a real vanilla offense just because to suit the injury. But they're going to need to bring a much better offense going into Berkeley. If you're Cal, I would get to Locker early, try to take him out of the game, legally that is. If you're Washington, this is a big game for the offensive line too, because they're going to have to protect Locker, but also in moving the chains against Cal and getting Polk and Collier out and get a good ground game going. Cal still, I think, has the better defense in this game. Ranked 16th in total offense. I just think Cal is going to be too much at home defensively. Cal just needs to be consistent with the passing game. Got a great running back. I think Cal gets it done, winning 28-21.
Washington's going to come in with some confidence, obviously just defeating UCLA. Jake Locker has another week to help heal the ribs, and I think last week they found a rushing game. I mean, some bright spots for Washington, but in the end, playing in Berkeley, I think for Tedford, I think he has to win this game to be bowl eligible. I think he gets the troops geared up for this. I think they're going to give a strong dose of Shane Vereen, the running back, to kind of exploit that weak defensive front of Washington, and they're going to hit that front a lot, and then allow Brock Mansion to make some small passes. Don't really kill themselves, but they'll be able to move the ball down the field. And I think that UCLA's or Cal's defense will be too much. I'm going to go with Cal 20-17 in a squeaker.
Prior to Stanford performing surgery on the Cal defense last week and finding schizophrenia, I would have easily gone for Cal to win this game. However, now I'm not very sure about the Cal defense. I don't know which team's going to show up. But I'm going to go with California 28, Washington 24. Close game.
Okay. Next game we want to talk about is Oregon State going to play the number 6 Stanford team. Jack, in your crystal ball, what do you see happening?
In my crystal ball, before Oregon State resurrected from the dead, as I said before, and they performed a assorted number of miracles against USC in that big win, 36-7. I would have labeled coming to this contest, I would have labeled this a gross mismatch. But now, after Oregon State won so badly, I'm going to have to label this as a mismatch. The Beavers, rush the ball fairly well at home, 160 yards a game, but when they go on the road, that running game disappears a little bit. They're down to like 87 or 95 yards a game or so. Oregon State also, they have the seventh worst pass defense in the conference, and they're going to be playing Andrew Luck. So that just doesn't bode well for Oregon State. I think Stanford's going to control the time of possession by a big margin, and I don't see this game being that close. I've got Stanford 41, Oregon State 21.
I think Oregon State to win this game, and if you look at them this year, when Oregon State wins, Jaquiz Rogers has a big game. Mm-hmm. Like last week, he had 128 yards. They win. So for them to even compete with Stanford this week, Jaquiz Rogers has to have a big game, and for him to do it 2 weeks in a row when they're averaging, they're actually 9th in the Pac-10 in rushing yards. I don't see him duplicating that. Too much offense for Stanford. They're too balanced. Defense is doing well. They're on all cylinders right now. Mm-hmm. I see Stanford 37-21.
Yeah, these guys have said, no matter what stat you bring up, Oregon State is just flat out overmatched in this matchup. Like I've said, Andrew Luck on the field. Who wants to play Stanford right now? Just clicking offensively and defensively. However, a good positive for the Beavers, number 5 in turnover margin, and ranked number 10 in sacks. I think a little more team speed than Stanford. If the Beavers can get to Luck early, I think they actually create some problems for Luck. Yeah, but with Luck on the field, I just think Oregon State is just outmatched in this one. Just too much firepower in Stanford, and their defense is really clicking right now. I'm going to go Stanford 37-17, but I do think that Oregon State could give them some problems.
Okay. We got an out-of-conference game right now with Notre Dame going to play USC. Joel, how's this going to end up?
Well, USC has owned Notre Dame for at least the last 8 years. They've won. Both teams are going to be starting. Both teams will be starting their backups. Notre Dame has a true freshman who's actually started the last 2 games and has won both of them against I would consider mediocre competition. Of course, Mitch Mustang will be going for USC, and he's not new to starting. He was a starting quarterback at Arkansas. But when this is all said and done, I see this as a rebound game for USC. I see this as a statement game, bouncing back from a hideous loss to Oregon State. And I think they win this game, honestly, on special teams. You have Ronald Johnson for USC, who's 5th in the nation in punt returns. I see him giving, he may break one, but he's going to give them good field position. And I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Bradford and Gable, and now Dylan Baxter, since he's not riding on illegal carts and whatnot, he'll be able to play this week. And I see USC with a 21-17 win.
Oh, I'm going to disagree with that. I think Notre Dame has kind of found their ground game lately. USC coming off a pretty embarrassing loss at Corvallis. Here's another team. Notre Dame could very easily be 9-2. They've 3 losses with a combined total of 7 points. Great rivalry game. USC's won 8 straight. I think that USC has kind of lost some clout. We usually look at USC and mark them on our schedule, but I think that kind of clout has kind of faded away. I just think that Notre Dame is just going to go in there and run the ball. A lot of question marks if you're a USC fan. Especially with sanctions looming on the horizons, just a lot of question marks there. So I'm going to say Notre Dame rolls in to the Coliseum and wins 27-21.
Wow. I'm surprised.
Bold?
Yeah.
Ballsy! Well, I thought you were a Pac-10 guy. No. As Joel said, USC's won the last 8 games, and honestly, only 2 of them have been close.
Yeah.
USC, they've killed them. It's In fact, we're talking about Oregon State has kind of a mini tradition of beating USC at home. Well, USC has a tradition of beating Notre Dame, and I'm going to stick
Everywhere.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with tradition. I'm going with 31-28 USC.
Notre Dame wins.
Okay, the last game of the Pac-10 this weekend we want to talk about is number 21, Arizona, going to play Oregon, number 1, Jeremy.
It's going to be a great game. This is pitting two high-octane offenses against each other going into Eugene. Oregon obviously needing this game and a win against Oregon State next week to play the national title game. Both teams, I don't know if it's to an advantage or a disadvantage, both teams coming off byes. They give them an extra week to prepare. Arizona, as we talked about last week, lost 2 straight kind of on a slide. You got Oregon with the number 1 scoring offense, and believe it or not, Oregon has the number 11th ranked scoring defense in America. Get a lot of credit, like we talk about Stanford getting a lot of credit for their offense, not getting enough for their defense. I see this as a huge challenge for Arizona going into Eugene. I think if you're Arizona, you're going to need to go in there and score early to take out that crowd that's just going to be rocking. Oregon basically outmatches Arizona in this one. Thomas is throwing the ball well. Needs to take care of the football. He has a few fumbles last week. James up for the Heisman Trophy. I just think Oregon's got too much offense on this one, and I'm going to say they're going to win at home 38-24.
Yeah, you talked about the bye, and I think this does help Arizona. I mean, Oregon beats you down just for their speed of their offense and how quickly they can run plays. And I think by having a bye week, you can kind of try to adapt to that. But I think ultimately one thing that no one's really talking about is the weather. It's projected to be balmy, it's going to be rainy, it's going to be about 30 degrees. And I think that benefits a team that wants that capitalizes on the run game. I think it penalizes a team that likes to throw the ball like Arizona does, and I think that's going to be a key feature. I just don't see I mean, I know they're favored by 19 points. I don't see that. I think Arizona's going to play these guys tough, and I see an Oregon victory, but a close victory. I'm going to go 31-24.
Well, I think you got the Wildcats coming in off of 2 losses, and the Ducks coming in off of 2 ugly wins. And the real question is, did Cal expose a soft underbelly in the Duck defense, or did the Duck offensive line just have a bad game? And Darren Thomas, for that matter, didn't play that well either. So maybe it's just bad games, or maybe Cal was on to something, and maybe could it be that the Wildcats could take advantage of that? The other thing is, at the end of the last game, we saw, television viewers saw Michael James limping off the field, and there's some question, practice reports say that he's doing fine, he's not hurt, but nobody really knows until game time starts. So that could be
yesterday.
That could be a big factor going into this game.
Someone should ask Chip.
That should finish, you. I think Oregon pulls this one out, but they don't have a lot of breathing room. I'm going to go with Oregon 31-25.
Okay, there you have it. The predictions for Week 13 of the Pac-10. Thanks for checking it out.
83%.